everybody, it's Lisa Birmingham and I am so glad that you're here. Today I'm going to be doing a spring thrift flip. Now I found this wheelbarrow and the wreath inside at a local thrift store. We are going to transform them and give them a makeover. I'm also going to show you how I made this tassel garland, and also this is a votive candle holder which we are going to turn into a cloche. Now the first thing that I did was I decided to paint this wheelbarrow. The brown stain on it was not doing it any favors, so I decided to paint it with some white chalk paint, just some spray paint that I got at Walmart. I took my wheelbarrow outside and I flipped it upside down so I could start with the underside first. I sprayed the paint evenly until it was completely covered, and then I let it dry for about 30 minutes. Then I flipped it over and spray painted the top side until the entire wheelbarrow was all white. Then I let it dry overnight. The next day I was looking at it and it seemed a little stark white, so I decided to kind of make it a little more rustic and a little more aged. So I got a piece of sandpaper. Now this sandpaper is a light sandpaper, so it wasn't going to take too much of the paint off. So I just sanded down the edges of the wheelbarrow and on the sides and a little bit in the bowl, and it really gave it that aged patina that I was looking for, so it wasn't so stark white. To jazz this wheelbarrow up a little bit more, I got a beaded spring garland from Michael's. It was 40% off. However, on the day I went, I had a coupon for 25% off more of my entire purchase. So this garland was around $6. I loved the beads on it. However, I didn't really like the little mini eggs that were on it. So I decided to cut those off. Because they're styrofoam, they came off really easily with a sharp knife. Now what I did was I cut down the center of the egg, not all the way through, just about halfway through, and then I took the string and I pulled it up through the egg. Now the good thing about these eggs is that I'll be able to use them for another project because I only cut halfway through, so the front side is still really pretty and will be great in the wreath that I'm going to be transforming later on. Now that the eggs are off of my garland, I can place the wood beads right on top of the rim of my wheelbarrow. Now what I did was I got some hot glue and I placed a small line on the top of the rim, and then I added my wooden beads right to the center of the hot glue. I continued to hot glue and place the beads in the glue until the rim was covered with beads. When I got to the end, I snipped off the end of the string and hot glued a single bead in place to complete the circle and to complete this wheelbarrow makeover. My thrift flip is part of the Spring Thrift Flip collaboration that is hosted by one of my sweetest and dearest friends, Natalie Callahan from Design to the Nines. There will be some other participants joining as well. They are all very beautiful and talented ladies, and I have actually gotten a sneak peek at what they're making, and I know that you are going to love them all. So make sure that you check those out. I will leave a link to Natalie's channel as well as a link to the playlist so you can see them all. Now I had some leftover garland, so I decided I would make a tassel to go on top of the cloche. So the first thing I wanted to do was make some tassels to go at either end of my little garland. Now what I did was I used some really thin ribbon. This is just from Walmart, just thin white ribbon. And I got a piece of cardboard and I began to wrap the ribbon around the cardboard. I did it 25 times, and then I took a small piece of ribbon, threaded it under the ribbon on the cardboard, pulled it up and tied the ribbon into a tight knot. Then I slid the ribbon off the card, straightened out the loops, got a pair of sharp scissors, and cut the ends of the loops. Now to place my tassel on the ends of this garland, I took the string that was coming out through the bottom portion of the garland and I wrapped it around the center of the tassel, then threaded it up through the beads on the garland. I threaded the string back through a couple of beads and then hot glued the string to itself. Once my tassel was securely on the garland, I took a segment of ribbon and tied it around the tassel, about 1/2 inch down from the top, and then wrapped it around several times and then hot glued it in place. I have always wanted one of these beaded garlands, and so this was such a great use of these extra beads because now I have a beautiful garland to decorate with. The next item that we're going to make over are these mini grapevine wreaths. Now they're from the same thrift store that I got the wheelbarrow at. When I got up to the cashier, she gave me both of them for $1, even though it said 99 cents a piece on each one of the wreaths. So yay for bargains. Now to begin decorating this wreath, I'm going to start with a wooden skewer. Now you might wonder why I'm using a wooden skewer, but it's going to help me to display my wreath later on. So I'm going to cut the skewer to size and hot glue it to the center bottom of my wreath. Next, I'm going to add some beautiful spring hydrangeas, some white hydrangea flowers, and also some other spring stems. And then, if you remember our cast off eggs that we cut off from the garland, well, it's time to use them. I'm going to place 3 of them in the center on the bottom. I'm going to hot glue them in place. So don't throw things away. You might be able to use them later on, because all I did was I took the cut side that was on the back and I placed that to the back of the wreath so you couldn't even see it. You could only see the smooth side. So we are repurposing some things that we didn't need anymore on this wreath. And then the final addition to our wreath are a few blue ribbons. I just placed one on top of the other. I tied it into a bow and then I hot glued that bow to the top of my wreath. In the end, I did decide to add 2 more hydrangea flowers to the center of the bow. I just hot glued them in place and I think that it ties all of the florals together. If this is the first time that you're visiting my channel, welcome. I'm Lisa. I post weekly videos. I do DIYs and home decor on my channel. I would love to have you join me, so please subscribe. Now that I'm finished making over my thrift store items, it's time to style them. So I'm going to start by putting a ramekin in the bottom of my wheelbarrow. And inside of that ramekin, I'm going to put a piece of floral foam. And I'm going to press it in really tightly, and then I'm going to get some of this shredded paper and I'm going to place it all over the entire surface of my wheelbarrow. And then I'm going to take my wreath. Now, do you remember how we had that wooden skewer poking out through the bottom? Well, this is where it's going to come in really handy. I'm going to take my wreath and I'm going to poke it into the floral foam and it will stay upright and in place. Now that my wreath is in place, I'm going to take my votive candle holder. Now, this votive candle holder is from Ross and it was $8.99. And I brought it home and I thought, you know what? If I flip this over, it could be a cloche. So I'll take my votive candle holder, flip it over into a cloche, and place the wreath right inside. I'll push the cloche down on top of everything and it will just rest in the wheelbarrow. And then it has this lovely large piece of glass at the top, so it's a perfect place for me to put that tassel that we made. So I'm going to wrap that tassel around that top portion, tie it around it so it stays in place, and then I'm going to let it drape nicely off to the side. Another decorative item that I'm adding to my display is this Happy Spring sign. What I did was I got a gold votive candle holder and I placed a piece of floral foam inside. And then I added a piece of burlap over the top and secured it in place with a floral pin. Then I also added some of that extra shredded paper that we used in our wheelbarrow. And then I'm placing 2 chalkboard sign picks that say Happy Spring and pressed them firmly into the foam, and then added a blue egg pick with some matching ribbons. The last piece that I'm adding is this ceramic bunny that I got at Ross. It was $6.99 because somebody's got to push the wheelbarrow, right? So this bunny's going to do the job. I'm going to place them right behind my wheelbarrow and that will complete the look. This was such a fun transformation to do. I loved taking these inexpensive thrifted items and giving them a new lease on their decorating life. I hope you got some inspiration or some ideas so that you can go to the store, go to the thrift store, find some things that maybe need a bit of a makeover and have the confidence to do it yourself. I appreciate you stopping by. Thank you so much for watching.